Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it right here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on. Trying to set this up. Trying to set this up for success right now. Trying to set this up for success right now. Yes, sir. All right, what's going on, everybody? So there's a big difference between actually being sensitive and using your sensitivity to pick up the information around you and shit like that, so you can actually circumnavigate the vibes that are going on around you. There's a difference between being sensitive and using that shit as a superpower, and there's a difference between being fucking sensitive and just being lost in the array of emotions going down all around you and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of people sometimes can pick up on emotions and stuff like that. But the people that can pick up on emotions, the sensitive people, a lot of the times can get lost in all the emotions that they be picking up. So they don't be necessarily using their heart chakra to circumnavigate the emotions of others and the vibes around them, where you should really, really trust the vibes that you be picking up. But like I said, there's a difference between being sensitive, picking up the emotions around you, and knowing how to navigate around the spaces and shit like that that you be in, and just getting lost in everyone's goddamn emotions. And here's the thing, when you get lost in other people's emotions, that shit can make you go crazy. Because now it's like not only are you dealing with your own emotions, but now you're also dealing with the emotions of everyone else's that, you could think it's your own, but it's really just too much absorption going on. Where it's like, it's the whole thing with being a sponge. You got to be careful what you absorb as water, right? Yeah, real shit. Shout out to Sean and Dark. A lot of the times, like, the heart chakra can be like a sponge where, you're absorbing the information going on around you. But if you absorb too much of that information, it can overwhelm you. And that's where Dolo get that concept of, darkness and shit like that, where you're mixing too many colors, too many lights, too many awarenesses. And now it's like you're blinding yourself from what you got going on, and you're being lost in what other people got going on. And here's the thing, other people might not even give a shit about that feeling. But if you care about that feeling, shit, you might become now the servant to that feeling, right? Where it's that concept in the Bible, right? Where you're not supposed to be sleeping with another man's wife, aka adultery. We're not supposed to be sleeping, because if you look at feelings, it's like sleeping with another man's woman. If you're a woman, you're sleeping with some other dude's women. Mentally speaking, metaphysically speaking, where we're taking on those feelings. Some of those feelings don't got nothing to do with us. So when we pick those things up as spirits that have a trajectory, hopefully you know your purpose and shit like that. If you got a purpose, you really got to pick up and be like, damn, is this person's aura, is this person's energy heading towards the same direction that I'm trying to head towards? Or is this person's energy got like another intention behind it and stuff like that, right? Because we're also part of like the fifth spiritual race and shit like that, where a lot of people are learning how to deal with their passions, deal with their desires and shit like that, where a lot of people can't even handle those things. So a lot of people move and react from a reactionary space, and that's not even like healthy. We're supposed to have a form of practicality, a form of logic to ground the emotions of us and the people around us. Because the people around us, they might be so flunked out, we might follow them down their path of emotions and go to jail too. See, we don't want to be hanging out with nobody like that. That's why it's important to be sensitive to the senses and really, really pick up on what's going on around us. Right. It's like Shine in Darkness said, really have balance and really aim to ground yourself and shit like that. Where it's like we live in the world where basically even the adults that are like 40, 50 years old, they be still kids. They still be like emotionally reactive to stuff and be like, oh, I'm so pissed off. They can't direct that energy. But here's the thing though, we're learning how to use that passion. We're learning how to use that desire and shit like that. Mello said sensitivity is cold once you're able to control the emotions you're receiving. Turning them into your bitches is key without being a bitch yourself. Fucking facts, bro. Fucking facts. It's like you don't want to be that emotion's bitch outside of you, or now you're letting that emotion control you, especially if it's someone else's. You want to be able to control your emotions and other people's emotions. And here's the thing, too, right? It's like when you have sick ass equilibrium, not only are you a grounding pillar for yourself, but you're also a grounding pillar for your community, and you're also a grounding pillar for your family and everyone that you're around. But you might not necessarily even want to do that for everyone around you and shit like that, because it'd be like too much mental work. But it's like people really start to look up to you as someone like, damn, this person is not really in a reactionary space. This person know how to operate from a balanced space where they know how to mix a feeling on a percentage level and a thought on a percentage level where they're not even like lost. They really got that like good equilibrium and shit like that. And even like when you go through situations that are like really tough and really different and like shit that you've never been through before, You still got to learn to bring yourself back into equilibrium, because as we expand our awareness, as we expand our mind and stuff like that, it's going to be normal to go through shit that kind of like try to outweigh you. But we're supposed to just really bring ourselves back into balance and stuff like that, and be like a master of those energies, where those energies are not necessarily mastering you. It's like Melo says. So you're not like the emotions bitch. You make the emotion your bitch. It's like Dolo said, use it like a bitch. It's something that's coming and something that's going. So it's like treat it as that. Where the sun rise, the sun fall. It come and it go. So we're supposed to treat it that way and not hold on to that. But a lot of people hold on to their emotions. They don't exfoliate that shit. They don't allow that shit to go. They just hold on to it like, nah, but I feel this. I was a victim. Oh, it's like that type of shit. You know? It's like wild. But yeah, let's get into some of these notes, man. It's like sensitivity is a superpower because it allows you to pick up the vibes in your environment, where you can even be at work. You can be dealing with like your coworkers and shit like that, right? It's like there's a space within that workplace. So if you're like emotionally intelligent, you can pick up the vibe and shit like that. You'll be able to know what space to be into and what space not to be into just based upon picking up that vibe, right? Where some people will just be in any space, be lost in everyone's emotions, and they don't know how to be themselves. AKA, they're not an individual. They're too relatable, where their heart chakra is like too motherfucking open and stuff like that. And you don't want to be necessarily too relatable, otherwise people are gonna take advantage of you and all types of shit. You're gonna be too open to the world and stuff like that. You really want to be an individual, right? I look at individuality like that's the healthier version of like the solar plexus, because I feel like when I jumped into the energy of being selfish, that was just a reaction based upon like, be in that relatable energy for too long. Because like when people are too positive, lost in the light, they become kind of like dark. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's interesting because they jump between polar shifts, but they never necessarily make it into the middle sometimes and shit like that, right? But yeah, I'm gonna get in some of these notes here and shit. So yeah, um, sensitivity is a superpower because it allows you to pick up the vibes in your environment and intelligently navigate around other people's feelings that your heart chakra is picking up, or the aura and energies of others, right? So the heart is like a radar device that pick up on what space another person is in. And if you can pick up what's going on in their mental body, that become because what's going on in their mental body, that become patterns, that become behaviors, and you can circumnavigate that shit before it even manifests into some shit that got to do with you. Because you can see when someone can manage their emotions and shit, like, to the point that they may need some like anger management classes to teach them how to regulate themselves and shit, right? But that's just something that we could do. But the person that get to the anger management class, they just got so lost to the point that they manifested being in that class. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just a learning process. But the more you can forecast that problem before that problem even manifests, it's like the better you'll be as a spirit. Where a lot of people have to manifest a catastrophic moment, manifest a tower moment before realizing, oh shit, I fucked up today. I gotta learn today. Yeah, you don't really want to be in that space necessarily. Like it's wild because once your mind is running on a pattern and shit like that, it's gonna be really hard to get out of it, especially if you're old and you're wired into that. Yeah, you might run through life with that pattern, that behavior, and not give a fuck and manifest all types of bullshit. Like that's why even the people in my workplace be depressed and shit. They don't be emotionally healthy, and they be like self-projecting their spaces and shit like that. That's why it's so important to be an individual. If I was being so emotional, so relatable, I'd be lost in their space and I wouldn't even know myself. Especially if you're like a water sign, you're like a Pisces and shit like that. You might get really lost in the world. Create a dream fantasy about that shit. Be like, oh, that shit looks so pretty. Let me jump into that light. Jump into that light, get fucked up and shit like that. Governing yourself and becoming your own authority. Yeah, that's right. It's like the same way the government governed the land. It's like you got to look at your mind and body like that's the land, and your spirit is governing that shit. Where it's like, you could look at your heart like the entertainment district. You got your lungs, the financial district. You got to like govern all these different areas and shit like that, right? And the more balanced you are in those areas, the more you are a righteous ruler of those lands, the better outwardly your life is gonna be and shit. Like it's all about like internal management and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So especially if you have a purpose, right? That's going to be really important because we don't want to be lost in the low vibrational aspects, the low vibrational emotions of the world and shit like that. Because like, yeah, it's like everyone is depressed, everyone is sad, everyone is angry, but it's because they don't necessarily even got a purpose. Where like they sacrificing their mind and flesh for the outside world, but they're taking on the burden of the world and shit like that. So it's like it become like really heavy on your spirit, and your spirit want to get out of those things. It don't want to do these things. Like, I was just at work coming back, and I was like, damn man, I hate this fucking place. I don't want to be here no more and shit like that. So it's like I'd be driving because I'm a truck driver and shit like that, right? So I'd be like, man, let me go crash this fucking truck. I hate this bullshit. So it can get really negative and shit. That's why it's important to really get on your purpose early and stuff, and not get lost in the world. Especially if you got like a friend group at an early age and shit, and you're all lost in each other's emotions and shit. Like my earliest friend group was like water signs, Scorpios, Cancers, and we'd all get lost in each other's emotions and shit. It'd be on some bullshit. So it's like you really gotta strive to be an individual, man, and be motherfucking selfish if you have to. Like put that solar plexus light up, hit them with that shield and shit. Like mentally speaking and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of people get lost sometimes in their binary system, get lost in the heart, get too lost in the solar plexus, get too lost in the root chakra and shit like that. Get some passion and aggression and some desire, get lost in that, or get lost into talking a lot. You might say some stuff that you're not even supposed to say, that you're supposed to keep your mouth shut about. You know what I'm saying? It's all types of shit that we can get lost when it comes to these chakras and shit, right? Um, yeah, I'm guessing some of these notes right now. So uh, most of the time, the mind will subconsciously try to drag you down even where they at. It's like dirtying your own space of awareness chakras with the dirty lights, especially if they're animalistic and too involved into like their vices, demons, and not necessarily their virtues and angels and stuff like that. Because like most of this world, bro, is just gonna try to just drag you down and shit like that. It's because whatever space they be in, that's gonna be what they're subconsciously projecting onto you, no matter what. So if they're in a space where like they hate their life, automatically, even if you fist bump them, even if you shake their hand, even if you talk to them, that's gonna be like that the intoning, the tone of voice that they're gonna kind of like reach out to you with. So that's gonna like dirty up your space. Sometimes even when I'm interacting with people and shit, I'll be looking at it like, man, what the fuck is this dirty awareness? Let me get the fuck out of here ASAP. It's like it be just doing up your own space, cluttering up your own space. That's why like having your own ritual throughout the day to cleanse yourself and really just practice like clairvoyance, so you can be in a space of nothing, just fucking leave them be at their space and stuff like that. And it could even be close people to us and stuff like that. But we're only responsible for ourselves and our space. If you have a family and things like that, you try to take care of them and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, it's all about just you and your spirit, where it's like it's a lot of self-sacrifice that you gotta do that other people may not be willing to do. And when you're undergoing that process, you might inspire people, some people might detest you, but that's just it is what it is. That comes with the mission, that comes with the purpose, right? So like, you know what I'm saying? It's like having a healthy, positive chakra, like a heart chakra and shit like that. Man, I'm in my notes sometimes to be honest with you. So it's like this would be the positive expression of the heart chakra, where you're not being too relatable to other people's feelings, where you're just picking up the vibes and you're just navigating that shit. Where you're not absorbing, because you're using your heart chakra like a device, like a scanning radar. You're picking up people's emotions and you're using that shit to circumnavigate your esoteric, your mental body, your ship around as need be, versus getting lost in other people's like that's why like it's important to be an individual. Be selfish about your space. Here's the thing: you probably be inspiring people too. People that don't even got that trait, don't even got that trait of individuality, don't even got that level of selfishness. When they see you doing that, that's what I should be doing too. It'd be a lot of like so the fire energy is really important. Just seeing your own way, ramming motherfuckers and being like, yeah, that's how I see shit, bro. That's it. Mentally speaking, though, you know what I'm saying? So negative, next said earlier, it would be taking on and absorbing or catering to the feeling of your environment or people around you to the point that you forget that you're an individual spirit in a mind, being too relatable, having your heart chakra soft spot exposed, and hold on, what the fuck was I saying? And here is the thing: we are the fifth spiritual race where we are learning how to deal with our feelings, passions, and desires, right? And most humans are not even good at that. So they're really going to be acting childish, reactionary, and stuff like that. And you're not supposed to that shit. What do you call it? What do you call it? Spill on your space, right? Because you want to like take care of your space. You want to take care of your spirit, have a healthy space and shit like that, right? Where they use that to abuse shit outside of them a lot of the times, because someone that's in a negative space will use whatever space they're in as a form of victimhood to gain power and control over it. Where it's like if you're dating a chick now, or if you're dating a dude for that matter of fact, they might use their soft story to gain some type of power and control over people, even and shit like that. Where people use their victimhood or like what happened to them in life, oh la, 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 la. And they might not have that ability yet. By interacting with someone that's too relatable, they might even awake that ability and be like, damn, I could do that. Yeah, let me go do more of that. Where it's like that's basically what I'm about to get into, right? So by doing that, by being too open, right? By doing that, we basically create a narcissist, right? We give someone the ability to think by us being too relatable, too nice. It's like they can get away with anything when it comes to fucking with you and shit like that, right? That's like their spirit heading towards this direction and shit like that. And then in that direction, they develop minds, they develop awarenesses and shit like that that are actually in a fuck toxic space and stuff like that. So if you let them do that with you, they're gonna be doing that with other people around you. And here's the thing: the other people around you may not even let them do that. So they might come back to you, try to do that with you even harder and even more. But the starting point of that shit was just us being too fucking relatable, where we actually created a narc, created the greater demon, where you created a monster. And that monster's trying to come after you because you was too real and shit like that, right? So we don't want to create motherfuckers like that. We want to be able to stop that scenario from even happening in the first place just by having emotional intelligence and really just vibe that's going on. Like you really gotta trust what your body's picking up. Like you're always picking up. It's like Dolo says. What did he say? He says shit like be sensitive to the senses and shit like that. Be sensitive to the psyche or be a. Anyways, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like really trust what your mind is picking up. Really trust what your psyche is picking up because a lot of people don't trust what their mind be picking up, and then they have to later on go down the line and find out and fuck around with something that's probably like low key crazy or low key unbalanced, and then they make them unbalanced. And you got two people that are unbalanced, and now it's like both people gotta go somewhere in their life and do some shadow work and be like, damn, how did I create that situation? Because they probably wasn't even like aware of what's going on. They probably just got lost in just being too relatable, and they wasn't necessarily emotionally intelligent or anything like that. They was just lost in the vibes and just lost in the emotions and shit like that, and allowed themselves to like drift somewhere, right? That's why it's important to have trajectory. Where at your own trajectory, someone might drive by you with the esoteric car, pick you up, and be like, yo, let's go this way. And then that's someone that's too relatable and it's just like, yo, yeah, let me go that way too. And see, that's not having your own trajectory. That's not your own awareness. That's not even having your own space together. And then it's like you just get lost in the world like that, right? And a lot of the time, sometimes even like religions or like, mom and dad teach you, hey, just be nice to everybody. Hey, love everybody. Hey, be nice, blah, blah, blah. And then that manifests into some like behavior habit that doesn't necessarily keep you in a balanced state of being and creating a balanced life and shit like that, right? Yeah, basically it's like shining darkness. It's like being a follower, following everyone around you. Basically, like Jamaicans say, how like Jamaicans like to say, being a follow bot like that, just following everybody around you, but you ain't got nothing to do yourself. So you just lost in all the awarenesses in all the lights around you and shit like that. But we do live in the world, unfortunately, where it's hard for you to get a sense of direction right off the bat because the first sense of direction you're given is by your mother and father. Your mother and father are usually lost in the world. So as a subsidiary practice, you start practicing spells subconsciously that get you lost in the world and stuff like that by the instruments that and stuff like that, right? Where get lost in religion, fuck with Christianity too much, you start looking for love outside of you to the point that you start practicing that habit and stuff like that. People that love people that need Jesus, people that love Jesus and shit like that, it's like they need something outside of them. So they're always looking outside of them when it comes to their relationships, when it comes to just everything, really, because it's like a subconscious thing that they be doing is catering to comforts. Because I look at it like there's no difference between Jesus Christ and a opponent. It's like they're both comfortable, ain't it? It's both some like Venus shit. So it's both just comfort at the end of the day, right? Whereas being too relatable, it comfortable because a lot of people are not even comfortable with being an individual. A lot of people would rather have their space of the world and shit like that, right? So yeah, man, that's all I have for y'all today. You know, be emotionally intelligent. Don't be lost in the world. Don't have it open. Be an individual. Be selfish if you have to. And a lot of the times, being selfish is just the best way to fucking go. With that being said, peace out, everybody. See y'all on tomorrow's motherfucking live. Peace. I got my astrology tapestry there. Just printed it out. So I'm gonna start doing astrology with that too. Real stuff. Yeah. Peace out, shining darkness.